Hello, and welcome to Economics and You. I'm your host, Mr. Samuelson. Last time we looked at applying for credit and how you can make sure that you put yourself in a good position to borrow money. Today, we're going to be looking at government regulation of credit, or how the U.S. government tries to protect you as a borrower from financial institutions. The first thing to know is that businesses, if you recall, are driven to act by the profit incentive. It is the job of a business to make money, and credit institutions and banks are businesses. So their primary responsibility and driver is to make money. This has led over time to some practices which are harmful to borrowers. And in the 1960s and 70s, the United States government decided it really needed to act to protect borrowers because some financial institutions were acting in ways that were bad for society as a whole. So the U.S. government has passed several laws to protect us as borrowers. One of those is the Truth in Lending Act. This act, or law, was passed in 1968, and it was the first in a series of laws designed to help protect borrowers. In this law, creditors are required to provide all of the details about the costs and conditions of borrowing. So when you borrow, you get a big, thick stack of paper, and those who are loaning you that money have to walk through and point out the different items which are going to cost you money, either upfront or in the long term, and offer an opportunity for you to ask questions about that. That is for any sizable loan that needs to happen. Now, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act was passed a few years later as an addition to the Truth in Lending Act. In this act, no one can deny your loan because of race, religion, national origin, gender, marital status, or age. This fairly well aligns with that 14th Amendment protection, equal protection under the laws in the U.S. Constitution. But it wasn't always being applied fairly to lending and borrowing. This act made sure that everybody was clear that you could not be discriminated against. The only things that matter are your credit history and your income and your collateral. Additionally, your loan cannot be denied because your income comes from public assistance. So if you're on Social Security and that is your form of income, you can't be denied. It's still income and it's consistent income. And so long as it's enough to pay off your debts in the long run, it has to be accepted as your source of income. Now, additionally, there are now laws that protect us against something called usury. Now, these are state laws, not federal laws, but those federal government is looking to act on this. Now, these laws restrict the amount of interest that can be charged on loans. There used to not really be limits on the interest that could be charged. So you would borrow money and they could have ridiculous interest rates. And so long as you agreed to those interest rates, you were stuck with them. Now, most states put some limits on it. For example, in most states, your limit on credit cards is often about 18%. That is, a credit card cannot charge you more than 18% in an APR, your annual percentage rate. Now, consumer finance agencies are allowed to offer higher rates because they take on more risk. And this is very much a state-by-state basis. But you can definitely see in some states, in some agencies, allowing APRs as high as 300%. 300% is a ridiculously high APR, and it becomes very difficult to pay back any loan. The idea of setting APR that high is to trap you in a debt cycle. It's called predatory lending. You get trapped in that debt cycle so that all you can pay is your interest, and you have to continue to pay that. So by the time you actually pay down your loan, you've paid it many, many, many times over, or they do it to collect your collateral because that's what they hope for. Now, bankruptcy is an option. And every day, thousands of people fall behind on their debt payments. They got into debt that they shouldn't have in the first place, or they thought they could manage something, and then they either lost a job or had medical expenses pop up that were unexpected. Now, when a debtor has too many of these debts and they cannot pay them off, they may file for bankruptcy. Now, bankruptcy is something that has to be approved through a bankruptcy court. So you go to the judge and you say, I need to declare bankruptcy. That is, I don't have enough money to pay my debts. I can't pay my debts. I need my debts to go away. They need to be erased. I need a fresh, clean start. The court then takes a look at what you do owe and what you own. And by the time you get out of bankruptcy, you're not going to own very many things. They're going to strip away most of what you have, which has any value. And the value of that is going to be divided up amongst those who you owe money to. But once that's all done, you have a fairly clean start. You don't owe anybody any money, and you don't own much. You're basically zeroed out. However, there are some debts that are tricky to erase and other costs of bankruptcy. Some debts like taxes, if you owe a whole lot in taxes, that's not going to be erased. That's not going to go away. Same thing with most student loan debt. Student loan debt can't be erased. So you have to pay those back over time. Additionally, bankruptcy stays on your credit rating for 10 years, and it hits your credit rating hard. With a bankruptcy on your record, it basically becomes impossible to secure any significant loans. Nobody's going to loan you money if you are proven to have taken out more debt in the past than you can actually effectively pay off. So they're going to look at that credit score. They're going to see that you're in the 500s or 600s, and they're simply going to say, no, you can't have money. Or if you do, it's going to be at a very high interest rate. Bankruptcy is something that absolutely you need to avoid if at all possible. All right, next time, we're going to be shifting our focus for a few lessons onto how we spend money and how we spend money well. Our next lesson will be about finding the best deals for you and your family when shopping for food. Looking forward to that one. Thank you for joining me today, and farewell.